I'm going to explain a horror sci-fi movie called Morgan. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens in a remote laboratory that belongs to a biotech company called Synsect. They specialize in developing advanced and highly complex human-like AI beings under a secretive project named L9. The scientists in this particular lab have put in several years of hard work to come up with a fourth-generation AI being named Morgan. Despite barely being 5 years old, Morgan has already grown up to resemble a young woman. The staff used to take her to the woods around the lab while she was younger. However, the Synsect administration ordered them to stop these unauthorized nature visits. Morgan is now forced to spend most of her time inside in a glass room. One day, a lab staff member, Dr. Kathy Grief, enters the room to have lunch with Morgan. She sets up the plates while the AI examines her own hands curiously. Kathy says that she has been contacting the administration, asking them to change their decision on the nature visits, but they haven't given any positive reply on the issue. Out of nowhere, Morgan pushes aside the plates on the table, jumps on it, and proceeds to stab Kathy. But before any more damage is done, two doctors rush inside the room and sedate Morgan. The security footage of this incident is then sent to the Synsect headquarters. To further analyze the whole thing, the administration decides to send risk management specialist Lee Weathers to the laboratory. She soon arrives at the rural location where Ted Brenner, the project manager, welcomes her. Ted offers her a tour of the whole place, but she politely declines. Shortly afterwards, Lee goes to a room where Dr. Amy Menser, the project's behavioral expert, is waiting for her. They discuss their respective work fields, and we get a brief glimpse into the personality of each woman. Amy is friendly, while Lee is an unyielding and strictly business-type person. Their conversation is cut short because of this, and Amy soon leaves the room. Later, Lee comes down to the kitchen and meets the team's chef, Skip Vronsky. He is the only one here who doesn't have a degree in some sort of scientific field. Ted then accompanies the visitor to Kathy's room, where her recovery is being monitored. Lee asks if she could have a moment in private with Kathy to discuss the events surrounding the attack. Despite being in a bad state with one of her eyes still patched, Kathy claims that she is feeling quite good. She says that Morgan used to be happy and gentle until the company decided to lock her inside the glass room. Following this, Lee meets Dr. Simon Ziegler, the chief genetic engineer on Project L9. He explains the nature of their work and how they use synthetic DNA alongside nanotech. Simon adds that their first 3 experiments failed, as the AI beings developed several physical and mental disorders, but Morgan is their most successful as well as complex achievement. Because of the rapid growth rate, Morgan could already walk and talk barely a month after her so-called birth. She's a robot. Why couldn't she do that immediately? According to Simon, Morgan is everything they have hoped for, a hybrid biological organism that can think and feel. She even looked like a grown young woman after her first birthday. Then Simon shows Lee the incident footage, but quickly adds that it was a singular event which has never happened before. He insists that the project is still headed in the right direction and they will learn from their mistakes. After a while, Lee is taken to the glass room where she meets Morgan personally. The visitor is kept outside the room for protection because of the recent incident. Morgan, however, seems to be far from a volatile being. She is polite and friendly. In fact, she even apologizes for hurting Kathy, claiming that it was unintentional. Later, when everyone is left, Morgan sits down in a corner and recalls fond memories of her and Amy in the woods. It is obvious that she feels most comfortable with Amy, who treats her more like a sister than a prototype. Later, Lee joins the team for dinner and meets the other members